Welcome to another edition of the Goldwater Report. If you have not seen the premiere edition of the Goldwater Report, we urge you to watch it so that you understand the bias of the opinions expressed in this broadcast. It can be found on our YouTube channel, The Critical Post Chicago. It can also be found at thecritical-post.com/TV and at the head page of our news blog, again entitled The Critical Post Chicago. In the words of the great American author Mark Twain, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. Operating from this premise, then, the current state of the business for providing news to the public at large, in our opinion, is in a state of high distrust by most folks who are paying attention to the content, how that content is being constructed and delivered. Nowhere is there news on the internet or in television and radio media that can be relied upon to give a scientific reading of the facts as relates to any report which may serve the public good, whether it be mainstream or alternative news media sourced material. Alternative news media, in many places, is concerned about conspiracy. And certainly, some conspiracy has been well documented. There are times they do a credible job of exposing some facts which are not highlighted by the large corporate conglomerates. And there are times when their bias also gets in the way, just like any other media. The fact about news reporting that escapes most folks who consume the journalism we are witnessing is that real news reporting has been corrupted for such a long time that the younger generations amongst us have never seen what a real news report is and what real news reporting on the internet is, especially in these days of the kind of content as seen from their smartphones, which is where, according to much of the data being reported by credible sources, they concentrate their attentions. The younger generations now amongst us, born after the 50s, in our opinion, have been educated by a corrupt public school environment here in America and around the world. This is confirmed by several researchers we deem highly credible and is being well documented by the website AmericanDeception.com. That's AmericanDeception.com. Any news site or organization that follows the latest narrative, which either reprints or reports something as their own original content, is likewise corrupted by the very nature of the narrative being disseminated by the major corporate conglomerates. Any independent news site that is alternative in nature, that is not armed by a cadre of their own scientifically trained proprietary news reporters that can put their own eyes and ears to the ground where an event is taking place, cannot be deemed to be reporting the facts independently from an in-person witness viewpoint. Therefore, the reporting can only be deemed as hearsay or anecdotal or punditry at very best. Any news site that reports news from a bias, whether that bias is theirs or is adopted from another's narrative, which supports the binary paradigm of left and right, east, west, and such, must be looked at with a high degree of uncertainty as to the facts surrounding the content. Critical thinking citizens must also be very suspicious, in our opinion, as to why any particular journalism item is being hyperinflated in a daily news cycle by the major corporate conglomerates with the ubiquity they command to an international level by these very same corrupted corporation conglomerates. It is a known fact that some of the most popular news blogs hire for very little pay, in quotes, bloggers who were educated all of their lives by a corrupt public school system, a corrupt university system, and that this content is all over the internet populating faux, F-A-U-X, faux news blogs. The content they provide, in our opinion, is internet drivel that incites passions which feed the binary narratives we have previously mentioned in this broadcast, the much vaunted Hegelian dialectic. Two sides which appear as opposites that lead in the same direction. Much of the citizen video reporting being posted to the popular platforms like YouTube and Instagram, in our opinion, can only be regarded as unscientific until a trained reporter can verify the facts in a scientific manner as to the veracity of what had been witnessed by the original citizen videographer. In cases such as these, like the reporting being done from the recent events surrounding Ferguson, Missouri, and covered by major corporate media as well as alternative outlets on the internet, must be regarded with a high amount of suspicion as to the nature of why the report is being concentrated upon by all those aforementioned news outlets. Any news propaganda which feeds the binary narratives must be disregarded, disrespected, and held under a high degree of suspicion in order to form a correct viewpoint as to the facts imbued into the propaganda. The Critical Post Chicago recognizes the facts enumerated in this report regarding the condition of news reporting currently being employed by every channel we are monitoring, which is what the alternative news fans are monitoring as well as fans of the major corporate channels. We are conducting research to first verify the actual real conditions for which the American population, as well as the world population at large, is being subjected to. When we ascertain these conditions with a high degree of accuracy, we will report exactly what those conditions are, verified by professional, independent scientific inquiry. Until the world's populations can know what the actual conditions are regarding their financial, civic, physical, and foreign concerns by a credible news organization, it is our opinion that they cannot make good decisions regarding any of these affairs. For these reasons, the Critical Post Chicago has been documenting, without any comment from us, the speeches from the current President of the United States and other leaders of the world. We have been chronicling and documenting what is being published in the international news feeds, which in our opinion we regard as propaganda, the news feeds of Bing, Google, Yahoo, and the Drudge Report. being the largest of all of the aggregators. All of this has been done for the last 3.5 years. Also, since the beginning of 2014, we have been reporting the financial Forex market data as seen from the news site of dailyeffects.com because they republish the propaganda being disseminated by the international central banking cartels. We are the only news organization anywhere in the world that has been performing this function that we are currently aware of. We have been documenting this propaganda as seen every midnight from these channels of internet phone news media in order for the citizens of the world to hold these channels of operation and their content providers, as well as the aggregators themselves, accountable for their actions. There is nothing sexy or provocative regarding this content. It is merely scientific reporting. We are not here to entertain. We are here to form a cadre of independent, scientifically trained reporters to ascertain the facts and distinguish facts from imposture. The Critical Post Chicago is a news organization that is strictly concerned with facts that affects the daily lives of citizens throughout the globe and here in America. Thank you for watching this edition of the Goldwater Report. Stay tuned to this channel in the future as we continue our quest for finding the relevant news content and the facts which will be factually verified in a scientific manner that affects your daily lives. That is all.